Sports.
We are the sports. We are the sports.
The Rays are rolling, ripping off 7 straight wins as they continue to try and claw their way back into the playoff picture. Tonight, Tampa Bay begins a crucial 9-game homestand versus the rival Red Sox, with David Price taking the hill against Jon Lester. Critical homestand looms for the Rays, and it begins tonight with the opening game of this 3-game series. The Rays play host to the Boston Red Sox. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to an evening of Rays baseball. Dwayne Stats with Brian Anderson. Well, who would have thought this would be the situation just a month ago? The Rays in July have gone 13-4. They're right in the middle of a playoff push now. They have Boston in town, and tonight a great pitching matchup. These guys have been outstanding in the month of July and really predates July. 2 quality left-handers, Lester and Price.
Yeah, marquee, absolute marquee matchup. 2 hot pitchers. You think about Jon Lester from the Boston Red Sox, what he's done in July. 3 starts, 1-0 record. Hard to imagine he only has just 1 win because he's given up just 1 earned run in his 23 innings in July. You see that minuscule earned run average, doing a great job with runners in scoring position. And I'll tell you something, right now he's got the fastball, the cutter, the curveball really humming right along. He is going to be a handful for the Rays hitters. Well, guess what? Boston Red Sox, their hitters, David Price is going to be a handful for them too, because look what he's done in July. He's won all 4 of his starts, an ERA of .85, 31 2/3 innings, and he's given up just 3 earned runs. And we know David Price establishing that fastball early in ball games to both sides of the plate, and then he starts doing work with the cutter, the curveball, occasional changeup. He's aggressive, he's efficient. This is going to be a whole lot of fun.
Well, David Price leads the major leagues in innings pitched. He leads the major leagues in strikeouts. That's just the beginning. This will be his 23rd career appearance against the Red Sox. He is 10-6 against Boston in his career. The last time he faced the Red Sox, it was at Fenway, and there was a little bit of a dust-up on a home run and then a hit by pitch. Was it on purpose? Was it not? Todd Callis with more on that.
picture in the major leagues since he faced the Red Sox on May 24th, 2 months and a day ago. It could be an interesting night with David Ortiz in the lineup hitting number 3 for the Boston Red Sox. Why is that? Well, let's take you back to the Red Sox and the Rays postseason last year, American League Division Series game number 2. David Ortiz against David Price hits the ball deep, and he kind of admires it. It was fair by a decent amount, and David Price looks back and says, okay, you hit a home run, but run around the bases. First at bat of the 2014 campaign that they faced each other, Price hits Ortiz on the hip. You can see David looking into the dugout. John Farrell would come out and get tossed. He was not happy with the whole situation. Warnings were issued to both sides, and after the game, Ortiz said, I had a lot of respect, past tense, for the guy. It's over now. I have no more respect for him. So the first at bat of the season against him, he drills me. That means it's a war. It's on. Next time he hits me, he better put his gloves on. David Price, when asked about it in his last series in St. Louis, says he doesn't expect any carryover.
I said right after the game, I was done. So I'm going to get outs. Still got to pitch him in, so it's part of the game.
Our Geico quote of the game from the Rays' talented left-hander. He has gone 8 innings or more in 8 of his last 11 starts. The other 3, 7 innings or more. The Rays riding a 7-game win streak. They have won 18 out of 23, looking for their first winning homestand in almost 2 months.
In the first game of this homestand, the Rays will send 10-game winner David Price to the mound. David with a 5-game winning streak over his last 5 starts, a 0.90 ERA, and he will face off against the Boston Red Sox tonight. For your Southern Ford dealers, here is the starting lineup for John Farrell. Brock Holt leads off, followed by Dustin Pedroia, and then the DH, David Ortiz. Mike Napoli, the cleanup man, followed by the former Ray Johnny Gomes. Shane Victorino in right, Xander Bogaerts at third base, Jackie Bradley Jr. is in center field, and David Ross will do the catching, and he will bat ninth.
And take a look at David Price and his season numbers as he makes his 22nd start. 173 strikeouts and 155 and 2/3 innings. And speaking of innings, Dwayne, you talk about that 5-game winning streak that he's on with that very low earned run average. Equally as important is the rest that he gives the bullpen. His last 5 starts, he's averaging 8 innings per. And he's gone, let's see, at least 8 innings, 7 of his last 8 starts. Take a look at the defense as it lines up behind David tonight in the outfield left to right. And Brandon Guyer, Desmond Jennings, and Ben Zobrist across the infield third to first. Evan Longoria, Yonel Escobar, Logan Forsythe, and James Loney. Jose Molina will be behind the plate.
Well, here we go. The Rays and the Red Sox. Always interesting when these two teams get together. The Rays up in the season series 5-4. They've gone 3-0 against them here at Tropicana Field. And to lead it off is Brock Holt, who has been a very pleasant surprise for Boston this year. First pitch of this game presented by Pinch-A-Penny, and it comes in a bit high. A fastball, 1 ball, no strikes.
We saw Brock Holt early on for Boston, their first trip in here. And this was a guy that has impressed us and just continued to impress everybody the last couple of months. He's gone up into the leadoff spot here in his last 55 games. He has 77 hits, and you see the season numbers right there.
Well, he's played everywhere for this club as well, and you see his numbers. Impressive offensively, but with great versatility. There's a strike, and it's 2-1.
Well, he's out at shortstop tonight, and he has started a game everywhere for Boston except pitcher catcher.
Yep. He started their game yesterday at second base. So he's been all the way around the infield and all 3 outfield positions. Count goes to 2-2. Bill Miller is calling the balls and strikes tonight. 15-year veteran out of UCLA. And pitchers love to pitch with this guy behind the plate.
And you can imagine David Price, John Lester licking their chops, getting a chance with this zone.
The foul ball, and already it gets a little part of Jose Molina.
That
He's trying to shake it off behind the plate. That is painful.
Up the forearm. That was a curveball that was foul tipped, missed the glove, and got Jose Molina right on top of that forearm.
Strike 3 call. Pitch at the knees, catches Holt looking. That's the way this one begins.
Now David Price just so precise with that heater. Look him stay behind it and drive it right to a spot. Jose Molina set up beautifully. That pitch located even better.
One away on the call, third strike. Here's Dustin Pedroia. Is down. Boston starting the night 9.5 back. Ortiz on deck. Rays 7.5 back, and 4.5 out of the wild card race right now.
Yeah, and the significance of that is the 4.5 games back in the wild card. They're chasing Toronto and New York, 2 more divisional teams. So that's who those are the 3 teams ahead of them. Those are the 3 teams right now that would qualify for the playoffs: Baltimore, Toronto, New York. And so they have their sights set on moving up in this East Division.
Upstairs. Well, that's the way the Rays would like it, to be able to take on head-to-head those teams ahead of them. And right now, that's the way it stacks up. Popped up, foul, and will carry out a play, and will take the count to 2-2.
There's something to be said for being able to do the work yourself and not have to rely on anybody else. And so with over 2 months of baseball left to play and plenty of division games left, they're going to have their opportunity. The key is they're going to have to cash in series like this.
Center. A lot of room for Jennings waiting for this one. 2 gone. Well, 2 outs, bases empty, and David Ortiz due to hit. We'll go back to the 30th of May at Fenway when David Price hit Ortiz with a pitch his first time up. Later in the game, in the 4th inning of that game, Mike Karp also hit by a pitch. Bench is empty. This one resulted in the ejection of Brandon Workman and a ball behind Longoria. And so here we go with David Ortiz stepping in right now. And he takes a first pitch strike. Our GMC big matchup, including postseason. And that's what some think started all of this. The 2 home runs in postseason. 250 overall. And 0-2.
There's that strike zone, Dwayne, that you referenced with Bill Miller. And already David Ortiz has an issue with it. A breaking ball down and away. And I mean down and away.
Yep. Miller loves to call strikes. And he has Ortiz down in the count 0-2. So last time he faced Price, he was upset with Price. Now he's upset with Bill Miller. Strike 3 call. 3 pitches. Ortiz out of there. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Price. Strikeout pitch right there. A thing of beauty. Austin out 1-2-3 in the top half. Tonight's lineup put together by Joe Madden, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Desmond Jennings, Ben Zobrist, and Brandon Guyer. Evan Longoria, Sean Rodriguez in there hitting 5th as the DH in front of Yunel Escobar. James Loney, Jose Molina, and Logan Forsythe, 7, 8, and 9.
Well, they'll be going up against John Lester, the left-handed starting pitcher here for the Red Sox, making his 21st start of the season. The season number's tremendous at ERA 2.50, but in his last 7 starts, he is 4-0 with an ERA of just 0.85.
So two premier left-handers go at it tonight as the Rays face Lester. Chopper to short, handled by Brock Holt. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Now let's take a look at the Boston Red Sox as they line up defensively behind John Lester. Wait for it. Here we go. In the outfield, left to right, Johnny Gomes, Jackie Bradley Jr., and Shane Victorino. Across the infield, third to first, Xander Bogaerts, Brock Holt, Dustin Pedroia, and Mike Napoli. David Ross will be behind the plate.
Now Ben Zobrist been into this game hitting .344 against left-handed pitching. 176 in his career against Lester with a home run and 6 bases on balls. First pitch is a strike.
Well, both of these lineups will be looking to swing the bat. They both like to be patient. Boston, they've seen the most pitches in Major League Baseball, second in pitches per plate appearance. The Rays will work at bats.
Ground ball, diving stop. Holt up with the throw. Safe the call.
Wow.
Very close at first. The Red Sox bench thought they might have had him. That was a great effort by Holt.
Versatile and talented. Brock Holt at short. Boy, he's got to go into the hole deep and then make a long throw. And Ben was just able to beat it. What an effort, though, by the Red Sox shortstop.
Close play at first, and Zobrist is aboard. 1 on, 1 out. Brandon Guyer. Hot shot down to third, step throw. Safe as Zobrist got back in. Bogaerts gloved that hot shot low liner, and Zobrist again just got back in at first.
It was hit so hard that Ben really couldn't get that far off, and it's still a close play. This ball smoked. And right there, Bogaerts quick. That just shows you how important base running is at the big league level. You know, that would one false step, one extra lean by Ben, and this inning would be over. You've got to be alert at all times.
Evan Longoria in the batter's box. Lester starts him with a pitch away. We mentioned how tough David Price has been over his last 5 starts with a 0.90 ERA. And Lester, similar numbers, 2-0 in that stretch of 5 games with an 0.70 ERA. Little tapper, if that stays fair, no chance, but it rolls foul and is immediately grabbed by Bogaerts.
Boy, sweeping that out of there. That's the waiting game. A swinging bunt there by Evan Longoria. Stay on the turf there. Once it comes off, everybody stays away, clear that line, and then get it out of there. Yeah, the numbers that you reference on Lester, and his ERA is even lower than Price's over his last 7. But the model of efficiency, these two guys, averaging under, in these time frames, under 15 pitches an inning. And David Price under 14.5 pitches an inning. So you better be ready to swing the bat. I'll tell you something. You combine how efficient they've been with who's behind the plate.
Good luck if you're a hitter.
Yeah. You just hope they have an off night and they leave some pitches out over the plate. You've got to be able to take advantage.
Just a little piece of that one on that 3-1. Little movement right at the end.
Yeah, cut fastball. Yeah, John Lester, he's big with the cutter. Fastball, cutter, curveball. Those are his main 3. And this is a 90-mile-an-hour cutter And you see how effective it can be.
Yeah, what an advantage that is behind 3-1 to be able to throw that pitch. A shot into left. Gomes will go back to make the catch near the track. Rays get ahead, leave a man. We go to the second. No score. Let's go places. Thick Philly flavor, small price. Checkers Philly cheesesteak and the new chicken Philly, each just $1.99. And by Bert Smith Volkswagen, Tampa Bay's home of driving excitement. Visit BertSmithVW.com. Here at Tropicana Field, fans still coming into the ballpark as we go to the second inning. Mike Napoli will lead off for Boston. David Price on the hill. Pitch foul back, strike one.
The Boston Red Sox, a lot of familiar names, but the production just has not been there. Mike Napoli having a nice season, 276, 12 home runs, but overall way down, bottom third in the league in runs scored, runs per game.
Not overly deep to right, and Zobrist comes in to make the catch to retire Napoli. That begins the second inning. Bottom of the first in New York, the Blue Jays have a 3-0 lead on the Yankees on Jose Bautista's 19th home run of the year. That's Burley versus Corona in that matchup in New York tonight. Now Johnny Gomes starts the evening hitting .239. There for a strike. Starting Gomes with a 95-mile-per-hour fastball.
Knowing full well that Johnny Gomes is a good fastball hitter, and that's what he's going to be looking to do damage on in this ball game, really every ball game, and especially against David Price. But David just so good at locating that fastball. He can be a good fastball hitter, doesn't mean he won't throw you one, but he puts him in good spots.
He's back a third, foul, broken bat.
Interesting too with Lester and the cutter. David Price will use that cutter and the curveball. These guys very similar arsenals. They don't use them quite the same, but boy, some of the best left-handed starting pitching you're going to see in the league on the mound here at Tropicana Field tonight.
Yeah, if you want to see two great left-handed pitchers, you're looking at them right now in this matchup, Price and Lester.
Well, this is Christmas in July for me. Getting to sit up here and watch these guys do the thing.
2-2.
Close here. Good pitch, borderline pitch, but still, with where he located it, it still serves a purpose. Opens up that outside corner.
And he strikes him out. Third strikeout for Price.
Likes the fastball, wants to hit the fastball. David Price crowds him, speeds him up with the fastball in, comes back with the changeup. So you give him a pitch that mimics the fastball. And he gets it started early, way too early.
Yeah, that changeup of Price, I think that one hit 87 on the gun. It's 85, 87. Their guys trying to get that kind of velocity on the fastball. There's a strike to Victorino.
Well, he has such good arm speed with that pitch, and he throws more the traditional circle changeup, you know, rather than the one that Odorizzi or Alex Cobb throws, more of a split change. And so all he's doing is taking his two power fingers, which is your index finger and your middle finger, get them out from around the backside of the baseball, and then throw it like a fastball. That's why arm speed's so important on a changeup.
It would seem to the casual observer that throwing a changeup that way would be easier. Oh, there's a shot back into left. Geyer's going to go to the wall, and that one gets out of here. So Victorino hits only his second home run of the year, and it will give Boston a 1-0 lead.
You know, this is one of the guys that Boston really missed when he was injured, missing some time. He can do a lot of things, and he gets what looks to be a backdoor cutter that just kind of cut back towards the middle of the plate, and he was able to get out and around it. And he caught it crisp.
So Victorino gives Boston the early lead. Xander Bogaerts. His pitch is down. To continue that thought, it would seem that that conventional changeup would be easier to throw and command than that split. But we've seen how effective and explosive that split change can be.
It truly comes down to an individual feel. You'll see a guy's run through every type of changeup there is, trying to find something that feels good to him and gets the desired result. But you know, the one thing about the circle change is when you take those, you're so used to throwing a baseball with those two fingers behind the ball. When you take them out from behind the baseball and you put it on the side of your hand almost.
Liner caught by Forsythe. More on all of that as we progress throughout the evening. 1-0 Boston. in the game tonight and all season long. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Sean Rodriguez in there, second leading home run hitter, not only in the lineup but on the team. He has 10, Longoria 12. And there's a shot toward the gap in left center field, off the glove of Gomes, bounding away from him, and Rodriguez will make the turn and hold at second.
Well, Johnny Gomes never accused of being a defensive stalwart out there in left field. Sean Rodriguez aggressive. First pitch, he hammers it. Gomes got a play on it right here. Just does not come up with it.
An eminently catchable ball.
Yes, sir.
Regardless of how hard it was hit. So the Rays get an opportunity here to take advantage of the error charged to Gomes. That'll be his fourth of the year.
Yeah, those are the mistakes that cannot be made in ball games like this. Highly contested, two ace pitchers on the mound. Feel like the margin for error is very small. Got to make plays.
Here's Escobar taking the pitch for a ball. Fidel Escobar hitting .254 overall against lefties this year, .328. .265 off Lester, with 5 walks in the mix against Lester. There's a strike and the count is 1-1.
Right now, Yunel Escobar thinking about using the middle of the field, try to drive something back through the middle. I'd love to see an RBI base hit right here.
Chops it foul to the right side.
And you can see the way John Lester has started this at bat. He does not want Escobar to get those arms extended and be able to manipulate the baseball, crowding him with the fastball and the cutter. And now up 1-2. This is where he can go for the strikeout. And on the season, his strikeouts per 9 innings better than a strikeout per inning, per 9 innings over the course of his career. High strikeout numbers.
Down and in. Breaking ball, and it's a 2-2 count. James Loney on deck. This one over the mound. Handled by Pedroia. The out will get Rodriguez to third. 1 away.
And did you see Yunel Escobar as he was crossing first base? He was clapping because he did try to use the middle of the field with 2 strikes, and by doing so, he's able to have a productive at bat. Didn't have a base hit, but look at all the high fives, and that's because he moved Sean Rodriguez to third with less than 2 outs. Get him stay inside that baseball. Doesn't get it through, but that's a good at bat nonetheless.
And now a contact hitter and Loney up there with the infield close.
Yeah. He's just thinking a nice, easy swing, get the barrel to that baseball, and I will poke it through a hole somewhere.
They have Holt shaded toward the middle from shortstop, and Pedroia way over in the hole and up at second base.
See all that room in between them, and Loney will use the middle of the field.
Pretty good takes by Loney here to get the at bat going. 2-0.
He's got that ability in big situations, RBI situations, late in game situations, to just be able to slow everything down and not go outside of what he does well.
Big opportunity for the Rays to answer the Victorino home run. 2-1 the count. Lester coming into this game 10-7. Molina's on deck. Up fly, not too deep, into left. That ball will be caught by Gomes, and he'll get rid of it. Where Rodriguez trying to get a read on that ball. Gomes caught it and not in a great position to throw, but shallow. And by the time Sean got back there and tagged, he was in between. Decided to smartly hang on.
Well, and I like what he did, though, because watch, as he goes back to tag, he really sells it, and that forces Johnny to come up and throw. Every once in a while, you'll get a guy to make a bad throw, short hop the catcher, it'll bound away from him, and then Sean could actually come home and score right there. But his aggressiveness in leaving third, even though he had no intention of going, forced that aggressive throw by Gomes.
Yeah, draw the throw anyway.
Yeah, you never know what could happen. He could airmail it, bad hop, who knows.
So here's Jose Molina with Sean Rodriguez at third still. The first pitch is a strike. They, by the way, changed the error and given Rodriguez a double. So Sean will pick up a 2-base hit. You take the error away from Gomes. 0-2. Molina now down 0-2. Interesting when you look at these catchers, both Molina and Ross, not known for their offense, but Molina's hitting .321 lifetime against Lester, and Ross is 3 out of 8 with a couple home runs off Price. Molina out on strikes this time, and the Rays miss on their first scoring opportunity of the game. Through 2, 1-0 Boston. David Price through the first 2 innings, 3 strikeouts. Our Toyota trend. Price came into this game leading the major leagues in strikeouts, now at 176 ahead of Felix Hernandez and Steven Strasburg. Price will be facing Jackie Bradley Jr. to open the bottom of the third. Ross next, and then Holt. The strike, opening fastball. Two. Ross, the catcher, on deck. Bradley's out on strikes. Number 4 in this game already for Price.
Well, I'll tell you, we've seen another pitch start to develop for David Price, and that is using the cutter. You see the fingers on the side of the baseball and using that cutter almost like a slider. It'll get a little bit of depth, break it away from the left-handed hitters. We know how much he loves it backdoor to righties, but now using it against lefties away and effective with it there.
Upstairs to Ross.
That was a great shot, too, of what a cutter looks like coming off of the fingers. You've got your 2 power fingers there, your fastball fingers, and just on the side of the baseball. And you're still throwing it hard, but on the side there will give it that little cutting action. And it doesn't have to be a lot. Sometimes you can sweep that cutter that David will do against the lefties. Against right, look at that. That's a great shot right there. Fastball, fingers behind it, but just on the side, and then you'll watch as it comes off. The ball just spinning and just cutting ever so slightly.
Big cut and a miss. 1-2. Got the fastball by him. David pitched against Boston in back-to-back starts at the end of May. A couple of no decisions in those. And there's strike 3 call. How about that?
Now he goes with the breaking ball there. Forget the cutter in. Now he's going to go with the curveball. And this is a slurvy type of curve here by David. You see, try to roll those fingers. More break, more depth. That one in the low 80s. Effectiveness the same.
So 5 strikeouts the first time through the order. We go back around to the top of Boston's lineup, and here is Brock Holt. And this one right back through the middle and into center field, right over the mound and into center field.
Well, David Price, a good fielding pitcher, and Brock Holt able to get this one by him. A nice job by Brock to stay back, let that pitch come to him, and hammer it back up the middle. He gets it between David Price, between his legs, through the wickets. 2-out hit.
It's Dustin Pedroia.
And Boston does not run a whole lot. But this would be a scenario where you might think about it. And with a guy like David Price on the mound, he's not easy to run on. But at the same time, you've got to try to create something against a pitcher of his caliber.
You know, both these pitchers at times in their careers have really made statements about the running game.
Yeah.
And Price has done that the last couple years. He's been very stingy. 11 steals a year ago, 10 caught stealings. 4 pickoffs.
And
there's a strike.
And both of these guys will get pickoffs, not because their moves are so great, but they get guys, they're able to guess right, and they get guys moving. Most of their pickoffs are going to be of the caught stealing variety. In fact, I think John Lester, in his career, all but one pickoff is a pickoff caught stealing. But at the same time, they just had that good feel on when to go over there. And this is a situation you see David already paying attention to Holt, knowing that he may be going eventually in this AB.
He is 6-2 in the steal department on the year. Red Sox have 31 steals, 14th in the league. Now 1-1.
Well, when you see that angle of a guy leading off at first base, the cutout is a real good measure. You know, when a guy gets it, that cutout is in between his legs. That's a pretty good lead. We've seen some where the left foot will be at the cutout. That's a really aggressive big lead. That, not so much.
up a bit. With Pedroia's chin out of the way. 2-1.
Well, David Price has said, and he was talking about David Ortiz, but he said pitching in is part of the game, and he's going to do it to everybody, and that's what we see. Move the ball around the zone and just not let a hitter get comfortable. I'd say you can use that cutout too as a pitcher, because you can gauge a guy's lead by looking at that cutout from your perspective and say, you know what, he's shortened it, it's gotten a little bit bigger. Sometimes that's a good indicator. And that lead has definitely shortened, as we've seen the last couple of pitches.
Yep. Now it's 3-1. Pedroia taking the pitch low. Ortiz is in the on-deck circle. Bolt has singled with 2 outs.
Now that count has gone into the favor of Pedroia, you shorten that lead, you're not going anywhere.
Big cut and a miss. Pedroia 3-1. But after the fastball.
Boy, power on power, and Pedroia cuts loose. Comes up empty, but now we know that Brock Holt with 2 outs will be going. Ortiz lurking.
Full count on Pedroia. Runner goes, and the pitch chopped deep of third, fair, and a nice play indeed by Longoria. Deep behind the bag. Throws a strike to Loney. Bottom of the third coming. 1-0 Boston.
Bay winners of 18 of the last 23. Evan Longoria asked about the front office decision in next week whether or not to trade David Price.
If they feel that that keeping David here is the decision, then we'll understand that they kind of, I guess, see and respect our efforts and really believe in this team making a playoff push, and that's the most important thing. And if it's the other way around, then we look at it as business as usual, and you can't give up. You can't just cash it in. I mean, I've said it before, though. There's really no replacing David Price. So if he's not here, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow that day.
One thing we know, guys, Evan Longoria, others in the Rays clubhouse won't be asked about it anymore a week from tonight. Back to you.
And a philosophical approach there by Evan. I mean, you can tell, as most everybody in that clubhouse would tell you, they would prefer to see David stay. But on the other side of that coin, addressed there by Longoria, you're not going to give up. That's not what this is all about.
That's being a professional, taking pride in what you do and continuing to move towards a goal.
They don't know what's going to happen.
No.
David Price, the Rays front office doesn't know to this point.
Well, I, for one, would be absolutely shocked. I think that the work that this team has done to climb back to the position that they're in, having an opportunity to do something that no team has ever done before, boy, oh boy, unless you're talking about a week-long collapse, I don't see it.
Strike 3 called. Forsythe, the first out here in the third, second strikeout. Well, we'll take a look at the Southern Chevy dealers storyline, and it tells you how and why the Rays are where they are since the 11th of June. They've gone 25-11, the best record in the major leagues. That was the low point, that June 10th, 18 under 500, and they've come roaring back since then.
Well, and name a facet of the team, and it is greatly improved, right down to the pitching. I mean, in that time frame, that 25-11 record, the team ERA down 2 full runs. It's been remarkable. The offense, of course, struggled so much the first couple months of the season. They've cranked it up.
Well, here's where the Rays find themselves, and I think the front office. If the season started today, most people would pick the Rays to win the division, knowing what they know about the American League East right now. It's not as if you've got a team that has no chance and this is a fluke. This is a good team.
Yes.
Everybody thought it was a good team coming out of spring training. Strange things happen in this game. We've all seen that from time to time. But this is a good team. Down to short. Holt will take care of this. So you've got a good team capable of, if they can somehow get to the postseason, they could do special things in the postseason. Those are all the considerations that go on through the minds of those in the front office when it comes to this David Price situation.
And how long have we said, okay, this is a big series. This is a huge homestand. This next road trip coming up is a make-or-break type situation. Yep. I mean, we're going to say right up till Thursday. Yep. That's just the way it's going to be.
Yep.
But they have responded and performed. Got to tip your hat to that.
Strike. Well, if you had said going back to the low point in the season, they lose that game to the Cardinals. They're 18 games under 500. And if you had said, hang on, in 5 or 6 weeks, they'll be within 4.5 games of the wild card spot. Really?
They would have institutionalized it. We're talking about the padded room.
Yeah, and all Joe Madden kept saying is the team is not this bad. They're going to turn around. They have to turn around given the cast of characters that he has on this roster. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and that's exactly what has happened. So here you are.
I mean, the third inning, Dwayne, for us has been great. That is our inning.
I felt renewed every game in the third inning because fate would have it that we just somehow get around to the idea of looking toward the future and the possibilities.
Early on, you're setting the stage, giving the folks at home something to look for, trends, pitcher, what he's featuring, lineup, approach. Third inning, you sell him on the hope.
High chop. Lester off the mound, gloves and throws it, one hops it into first, and Zobrist has himself an infield hit. Well, Ben came into the game hitting only 176 lifetime against Lester. He's 2 for 2 tonight. Not exactly ripping the cover off the ball, but this will work.
Yes, it will. It takes a long time to get down, and Lester, that's by design. He's trying to throw that ball off of the turf to create a little skipping action, but there was no way he was getting Zobrist on that. At least you hope that he did that on purpose. Assuming that he did.
Well, when Turf came into the game, you started seeing that. Davey Concepcion, the great shortstop from the Reds, who's one of the early engineers of that one-hop turf throw. Now Brandon Guyer Takes ball one.
And you would think that throw would have been more effective on the old turf, because that was like skipping it off concrete.
That's right. Yep.
You know, this plays more like real grass, and probably not as effective. But that old turf, you're thinking Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, yeah, you get that ball skipping good.
On the old turf, he might have been out at first.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll tell you.
That's right.
It's a little faster surface. 1-1 the count.
And you almost was a two-hopper, and you don't want that.
Yeah. Now snap throw to first. Zobrist just back in there. Boy, he's had some close plays around that bag at first.
We just talked about base running at the big league level and how you've got to be precise and you've got to be alert for everything. Right there, a little fake. Cannot pause too long. You better get back there because these guys will throw behind you. Bogart's the first time, and now it's David Ross.
Yeah, he had no time to spare to get back there. Napoli trying to sell it to Chad Fairchild. Foul ball takes the count to 2-2. Geyer's had a couple hits off Lester coming into this game. He was 2 for 5, and he hit the ball hard on that line drive to Bogarts down at third in the first.
Well, with 2 outs now, a similar ball that gets by Bogarts, you got a chance to score a run here. Johnny Gomes playing out there in left field, but you hammer one, get it by Bogarts and into the corner. Ben Zobrist is running on contact.
Two-out infield chopping single for Zobrist. 2-2 the count to Brandon Guyer. Three and the count is full. Yankees scored a couple runs in the second inning, but the Blue Jays have come back with a run on another home run by Jose Bautista, his second of the night. It's 4-2 Toronto. Blue Jays hitting in the top of the third in New York. 3-2, runner goes, and a pitch foul. A bouncer outside of third. John Lester against David Price in the first game of this series. Red Sox in for 3. That's foul just outside of third.
Guy trying to find that third base line. He is trying to get that ball into the corner. Lester trying to make pitches here. Full count. Zobrist running on the delivery.
This one down to third. Bogarts up with it, the long throw, and Guyer is the third out. Rays get a base runner, leave him on to the fourth. 1-0 Boston. Price on the hill for the Rays in a 1-0 game. First time around, Ortiz called out on strikes.
But it didn't take long. 3 pitches, all to the outside corner. Maybe that curveball a little bit off the plate, but David Price making short work of him in that initial matchup.
So here is Ortiz to open the 4th. High fly ball, center field. A lot of room for Jennings for this one to come down. And Ortiz is 0 for 2 tonight. 1 pitch, 1 out in the 4th. Brings up Mike Napoli. Napoli hit a fly ball into right field the first time around. Napoli can really get into an at bat. He sees a lot of pitches, but out on just 2 pitches his first time around against Price.
That's what David Price forces you to have to do. This entire Boston lineup, they see a little over 4 pitches per plate appearance, second in Major League Baseball behind the Twins. But when you have a strike thrower like David, a notorious strike thrower, you've got to be ready to go, and you can't afford to sit back and hope to work a 5, 6, 7 pitch AB. And you're right, Napoli's been one of the best the last couple of years. That's why David Price can come in with these lineups that want to be patient and force them out of their comfort zone.
David for the year averaging just 15 pitches per inning. 2-1 now.
That really is the gold standard. That's what you shoot for. Tough to do. You've got to be good, number one. You can't have a whole lot of base runners to be running out 15 pitch innings. You got to be around the plate.
Big cut to miss there. Napoli let it out on the fastball. 2-2.
Not often you're going to get these 2-1, 3-1 types of counts, so you get an opportunity, and that pitch definitely was within the swing of Napoli, but Price powered it by him.
Strike 3 call. Couldn't move on that one, and Napoli is caught looking. Strikeout number 6 for David Price. Let's check in with Todd Callis on that one.
All right, Dwayne, you were talking about the game between the Yankees and the Blue Jays. How about Jose Bautista against Hiroki Kuroda? 3-0 pitch, green light, 3-run home run in the first inning. That would give the Blue Jays a lead. Yankees would make it 3-2 when Bautista came to the plate the second time. 2-1 pitch. He has 4 career hits against Kuroda. All 4 are home runs. But the Yankees come back with a Carlos Beltran solo and an Ichiro Suzuki 3-run home run to regain the lead.
Well, there's Johnny Gomes sending a fly ball to left here at the drop. Caught out there by Geyer, and the top of the 4th is history. Rays half coming, 1-0 Boston. down by a run, the only run on the Shane Victorino home run. It's now time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag SunSportsFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Evan Longoria will open the Rays half of the fourth. Then Sean Rodriguez and Yunel Escobar against John Lester. Rays have 3 hits, no runs. And there's a shot. Moves Tom Foley out of the way and down beyond the bullpen. Evan line to left. His first time. Cut and the miss. And you know that that at bat in the first, Longoria got up 3-1, and Lester threw him a cutter.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way.
It does, because first of all, it got him a strike, and that's the small victory. But what he told that Rays dugout is that cutter, I'll throw it whenever. And you are always going to have to pay attention and to consider that pitch in any scenario, because if I'm throwing it 3-1 like he did, you send a clear message, and the effectiveness goes way beyond that one strike.
It really starts to cloud a hitter's mind, doesn't it?
It just gives you something else that they've got to consider.
Swing and a miss, ball getting away from Ross, but he recovers, makes a little bit of a wide throw, and Longoria is out on strikes.
You're always anxious to see what a pitcher is willing to do when he's behind in the count. 3-1, 2-0, what he throws. A lot of guys get very predictable. And when you're not, you keep every pitch, or at least 3 of the 4 in play. Well, it just makes a hitter's job that much more difficult.
One out in the fourth. 3 strikeouts for Lester. And this is Sean Rodriguez taking a pitch inside. Sean got credit for a double in the second inning on a line drive to left that Johnny Gomes got a glove on but could not hold it. Initially scored an error on Gomes and then changed into a double for Sean, his 9th double of the year. Curveball that's down and stayed away. 2-0. Three balls, no strikes. Red Sox come into this one off a loss to the Blue Jays, 8-0. They were held hitless through the first 6 innings. It's the 3rd time that's happened this year. Rodriguez takes a strike, 3-1. They were 1-3 in their series against the Blue Jays in Toronto. And the 3-game series here at the Trop with the Rays now for Boston. Lester comes back full.
Does it again.
Yep.
There it was. Sean Rodriguez, notorious aggressive swinger. 3-1. Well, that cutter, 88 miles an hour.
Fouls it back. Sean has 3 hits in his career. He came in hitting .222 against Lester. And now 3 doubles off Lester with the 2-base hit awarded to him in the 2nd inning. Strikes.
You see what that's what that pitch does. That's what the 3-1 cutter to Evan Longoria in his first at bat does, because now all of a sudden he makes you aware he'll throw it whenever, and in the course of this at bat he throws it 3-1 to get to 3-2, so certainly he'll throw it 3-2, right?
Yep.
That's exactly what he does, and this is the swing that he gets.
Helpless situation for a hitter when a pitcher has implanted the idea and then executes it.
Every hitter will tell you that they become a better hitter when they're able to eliminate pitches. As you start to get ahead in the count, and okay, you know he's not going to go to that pitch. He'll leave that one alone. So maybe these two, and more than likely this one, I'm going to be a better hitter. When you can't eliminate pitches.
That's the issue with Lester. 1-1 the count to Escobar.
And you know what? Same thing for David Price. He's another guy
That's right.
that you have a hard time eliminating pitches on. They mix very well.
One ball, 2 strikes. Broken that cutter out a little more here in the 4th inning.
Second time through the lineup, giving them a different look. That's what a starting pitcher, the challenge that he faces, continually changing patterns.
2-2.
John Lester, when you look at his breakout each time through the lineup, 251 the first time through the lineup, second time through the lineup, 210. That's what we're watching right here. Goes back up to 245, still very good the third time through.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Ground is short for Brock Holt. The Rays are up and down 1, 2, 3 in the 4th. Headed into the 5th, 1-0 Boston. Game, a home run by Shane Victorino in the 2nd inning. David Price on the hill. Let's take a look at tonight's Cold Hard Facts, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. During the 7-game win streak for the Rays, a 1.33 starter ERA, and look at the bullpen. I mean, that's some shutdown pitching all the way up and down that list.
Those numbers are obnoxious. I mean, that really is just at a different level. And that's why you see the confidence of this team just continue to grow.
Well, Victorino leads off the 5th after hitting the home run in the 2nd inning.
Well, Dwayne, it goes back to the point that you made in the St. Louis series. When you looked at the breakout of all of the outs in that series, and more than half came from strikeouts. 28 strikeouts to 26 balls put in play for outs.
Incredible. Chopper up the middle. Forsythe with a nice play. Good strong throw. Victorino is the first out in the 5th inning. Well, that's shutdown pitching, and that's what the Rays have gotten in this stretch. And in conjunction with that, they've gotten some runs, some run support from the offense.
Continue to play defense. what you like about the pitching is starter ERA 1.33. The bullpen has been even better. You see Boxberger and McGee right now emerging as your go-to guys at the back end of a game. Offensively, a number of different guys are chipping in. It's the weight's not being carried by just 1, 2, 3 guys.
Low to Bogarts, 1-0.
And they continue to catch the baseball. Defense and pitching travel very well. And you're seeing that all kick in right now.
Back into the screen. Bogarts has had a difficult time. He got off to a good start. He had a nice run early. About the first third of the season, he was hitting over 300. But in the last 4 to 5 weeks, he's hit about 140, and his average has fallen coming into this game to 237. Lined out his first time, behind in the count this time.
Getting that first extended look in the big leagues, and it's about making adjustments, and you get off to a quick start. You get around the league a time or two, and teams start to figure out where the holes are, what the weaknesses are, and Major League pitching overall good enough to go to those places and force you to try to make an adjustment. So far, he's not done that.
Very close, but he missed. Yeah, that's one of the tough things about the major leagues. That's why it is the major leagues. You're so grateful to get here and get off to a good start, as he has done. He's got a lot of ability, a lot of talent, but they have a way of catching up to you. Then you've got to figure it out and see how good you're really going to be and how long you're going to stay. Chopped to short. Escobar makes the play, and Bogarts is 0 for 2. Second out here in the 5th. Reminder, the Rays' wives will host a Thanksmas in July drive to benefit area homeless shelters. It'll be tomorrow and Sunday. Fans are asked to bring toiletry donations to collection areas inside gates 1 and 5. For more information, visit raysbaseball.com/community. Jackie Bradley Jr. Pitch is a strike. Bradley struck out on the cutter his first time up. Soft liner the other way, dropping in front of Geyer. So there's a 2-out single. The third hit collected by Boston. All of their hits have come with 2 outs, including the Victorino home run. Bradley's aboard.
David Price coming with that fastball, and you see this ball middle in, and Jackie Bradley gets the hands inside of it, gets enough of it to get it out to left field for a 2-out hit. And again, you start to think about stolen base opportunity. Bradley Jr. 7 out of 7 on the season. You can see the cutout. He's got a pretty good lead too. Although you can see too, that's another great shot. He got out to a big lead, and as soon as David Price picked that front leg up, he started heading back towards first. A one-way lead. He wants to see how far he can get and provoke a throw from David Price. Use that cutout right there as a guide. Just continues to inch out there. I'll tell you what, those are 2 great shots, because there you saw how much he had cut that lead down. First time he was out there, had the left foot almost on the cut, trying to get a throw from David with that one-way lead. Didn't get it, and now a more traditional lead, and it's not a very big one. At least it wasn't on that pitch.
Yeah, and if he's uncertain, the last thing he wants to do is get picked off.
Yeah.
2 strikes the count on Ross. Shortstop Escobar makes the throw to first. Ross is finished. Red Sox leave 1-0 Boston.
And greatest in Rays apparel, look no further than right here, the majestic athletic clubhouse. It is brand spanking new, open today, right when the gates opened. It's located on the ground floor here at the Trop behind center field. They have everything from jerseys, t-shirts, even newborn onesies. Super cute. But you better believe the hottest ticket today has been the ladies' Kevin Kiermaier t-shirt. Back up to you guys.
Kevin Kiermaier is developing a following with that great play, aggressive play, a lot of hustle. Here the Rays will have James Loney leading off the bottom of the 5th. Loney, Molina, and Forsythe in a 1-0 game Boston. Rays left Rodriguez at 3rd in the 2nd. That's been their only scoring opportunity. Only takes a strike to begin the bottom of the 5th. In a way, a lot of scouts here, as we have come to expect when David Price pitches. You know, the Red Sox have halted their contract talks with John Lester. There's a base hit the other way. Loney's aboard to begin the bottom of the 5th. They say they're going to pick him up at the end of the season, those talks. But you never know. You
he's not gonna...
that all those scouts are looking not only at Price but Lester as well.
You're right. You do never know. You know that the price is not coming down anytime soon. You see John Lester's career numbers. I'm not convinced that the scouts are here scouting as much as they're here as fans of this matchup.
Well, why not?
Right?
Yep.
You're going to come scout a ball game. You're not going to pick many better.
Jose Molina. Molina out on 3 pitches his first time, and he takes the pitch away for a ball. 1-0 Molina with a 9-game hitting streak now. He was 3 for 11 on the last road trip.
Okay, we know that there's two teams obviously playing in this ball game, as most every other ball game too. So you then take 30 minus 2. You know, we've a lot of math this year.
Yep.
So 30 minus 2 is 28.
Yep.
Can you tell me, and you can even give a range, or if you feel really confident, you can just go for the straight number. How many teams out of the other 28 are represented here tonight? I have the number of scouts.
Oh,
other
you mean
teams.
by scouts?
That's right. Out of 28.
Is foul back. I'm gonna guess off the top of my head. 10 is a good working number.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm gonna go over that. I'm gonna say 12.
You're gonna go 12.
Yeah.
Do you want one more guess? I think you do.
I do.
You do.
Want to go up?
I think that you want one more guess, Dwayne.
Okay. This one is foul back.
I like where you're headed.
Yep.
Headed.
Yeah. Well, so you think they're more than that then?
Oh, actually, no. I have the number.
Oh, you know.
I have the number.
Okay. 14.
14.
Yep.
Well, you're off by a couple. There are 17 teams.
How about that?
In attendance.
Swing and a miss. Molina's out on strikes for the second time. Well, I saw a lot of those scouts. Didn't tabulate the teams, but 17. Man.
That's your own section.
Yeah.
There they are.
Well, these two left-handers will draw a crowd, and they've done that in the scouting section behind home plate.
And with that number, that's why I'm not convinced that all of these scouts are here scouting. I think they're using their credentials just to get in and watch a nice game.
Wouldn't you? I think we all would.
Yeah. Hey, look, what did the Rays guys get off that bus in St. Louis, and how many of them ran over to Busch Stadium to watch a game?
At least a fourth of the roster. Broken bat. High fly ball back towards center. Bradley makes the catch. The barrel into that bat wound up beyond Bogarts to third baseman. And on the very back of the dirt on the infield.
Yeah, watch this bat just explode. Lester cutting that ball in, and you see it gets it right to the label, and the bat absolutely comes apart. That is the way that pitch was designed. The thought being, you throw that cut fastball, you get a little movement, and you move the ball from the barrel of the bat to either the end or the label. And that one definitely got in on Forsythe. That's your last look at it, Dwayne, before it's sent for the study.
Want to know the count on Desmond Jennings? Yeah, that's there's a lot to study with the way that bat broke.
Well, look at that, layer after layer.
I think whoever's in charge of that study has been making furniture. I mean, you could imagine all the different varieties of chairs and tables that could be constructed with all the broken bats.
Mm-hmm. Kept awfully warm during the winter.
Runner takes off. The pitch swung on. Drive high, deep into left center. That one is gone. Home run for Jennings. And the Rays take a 2-1 lead. Desmond Jennings hits his 9th home run of the year. His second career home run off Lester. He has a line of extra base hits in his career off Lester. This is a very big one.
Wanted that ball away. It cut back middle in, and Desmond Jennings, with the count in his favor, could look for a cripple pitch, and he got it, and he popped it.
Jennings flashing some of that power gives the Rays a 2-1 lead. Then Zobrist takes a strike. Desmond came into the game 9 of 27 against John Lester. So he's now 10 out of 30 against him, with 2 doubles, a triple, and now 2 home runs collected off Lester. And oh, by the way, 2 walks as well.
I'll tell you, he seized the ball well off of Lester, and he was in a great count. And Lester made a mistake in that count, and that's, you know, the margin for error. You get a mistake, you got to capitalize, and Jennings did just that. Gave the Rays the lead.
Two to one now. The Rays on top. Jennings' first home run since the one he hit in Detroit back on the 6th of July. Boy, this one is a big one tonight. Pitch up, and Zobrist fouls it back, holding the count at 2-2. Jennings coming off a 3-hit night Wednesday in St. Louis. He's hit 300 now for almost a month, starting the last couple days in June. Look out, George Hendrick. That undressed him. There goes the batting helmet.
Oh, yeah. Ray's dugout giving him the business.
Yeah, they will enjoy that one for a while. Big cut and a tap foul. Count remains 2-2 on Zobrist. Zobrist checked in time. Red Sox wanted the appeal. Chad Fairchild said he held up.
Yeah, quick to take a look at this. This was going to be close. You see Ben Zobrist right to the brink and back. Put on a pretty good at bat here. Fouled off some tough pitches.
Another infield chop. A barehanded attempt by Bogaerts in front of Holt. Can't make the play. And how about that? Zobrist is 3 for 3 tonight. And another infield chop. He's safely aboard.
Boy, yeah, and a smile to boot. Obviously, George Hendrick giving him a little bit of that. Probably more the line drive at him than maybe the 3 hits. But Bogaerts trying to make that play barehanded, not able to come up with it. That ball in and out of the grasp.
So Zobrist is singled to short. Hit that chop that the pitcher Lester tried to make a play on. And now this one, Bogaerts coming across from third, trying to make a play on that, and could not. Third hit of the inning. The Rays have 6 hits in the game, and here's Brandon Guyer. Guyer's played pepper with the third baseman Bogaerts so far. 0 for 2. He's lined to third and grounded out to third. It's a strike. Austin scored a run in the second on the solo home run by Shane Victorino. The Rays got a single from Loney here in the 5th. 2 outs later, Desmond Jennings hit one out to deep left center. Now Zobrist is aboard on the infield hit. The count on Guyer is a ball and a strike.
And you start to move that pitch count up. You see at 87, approaching 90 already here in the 5th. Forcing Lester pretty heavy workload. You see he had to do some work in the 3rd. Not out of the 5th yet. Sitting at 24.
take in by Geyer. 2-1.
Well, Geyer's had some good swings on Lester. Hit the ball hard his first at bat to third base. Tried to pepper that third base line in his last at bat. Hit a ball right to Bogaerts. And so you see the adjustment made here by Lester. First 3 pitches all have been in.
And again, 3 balls and a strike.
Yeah, and on the verge of losing him, putting another runner out in scoring position.
Three and one. And a strike on the corner, says Bill Miller.
Well, when you see 4 straight pitches in and in off the plate, all of a sudden the outside corner starts to look like it's a mile away. And Lester puts it right on there, and Brandon Geyer's thinking, oh, that's got to be ball 4. That's so far away.
3-2. This frees Zobrist on the move, and ball 4 is away. 2-out walks. Sets the home run, the infield hit, and now the walk. The Rays put 2 men on with 2 runs already across, and Evan Longoria walking to the plate.
Boy, and all of this coming with 2 outs. The home run by Jennings, the walk to Zobrist, or the infield hit by Zobrist, then the walk to Geyer.
So the Red Sox talk it over. Reminder, tomorrow the Rays battle the Red Sox again, and the first 20,000 fans receive a Rays tote bag presented by MLB Network. For tickets, visit RaysBaseball.com or call 888-FAN-RAYS. There's Evan Longoria. Evan is lined to left and struck out. Curveball got him on strikes in the 4th. A big cut and a miss on the first one, and Lester stays in with the cutter. Evan hitting .314 coming into this game with men in scoring position. 1-1.
Well, a big opportunity. The Rays already with 2 runs in the inning, got a chance to maybe expand this lead. And you've got one of the better Rays up there at the plate in this situation with those runners in scoring position, or at least one of them. This is where John Lester, though, has really excelled in his recent hot streak. Coming into play here in his last 7 starts, the opposition just 3 for 34 with runners in scoring position. And even the home run by Desmond Jennings was not with a runner in scoring position. So nothing here tonight.
2-1 the count on Longoria. Foul back. Well, the Rays tonight 0 for 3 with men in scoring position, and that all came in the 2nd inning after the Sean Rodriguez leadoff double. Over 30 pitches in this inning now for Lester. It's fouled up the right side.
Evan Longoria trying to make the adjustment. We've seen a couple of cutters in on him that he has swung over the top of. That time he tried to keep the hands inside the baseball, able to fight that pitch off and foul it off. Those are those little, you know, in-game, in-at-bat adjustments.
Now the count is full.
Well, when you get everybody running here, a gapper could score you 2. And now Lester approaching 100 pitches. He's going to get Mujica up in the bullpen.
Runners go. The pitch lifted into short left. Johnny Gomes is there and makes the catch. So the Rays leave 2, but they score 2. The runs coming on one swing of Desmond Jennings' bat. And the Rays now lead 2-1. Price and John Lester. Price paired up against David Ortiz in the first. Got him looking. Ortiz 0 for 2 so far tonight. Price gave up a home run to Shane Victorino in the second to get Boston on the board. John Lester was cruising right along. He has 5 strikeouts tonight, but the Rays got to him in the 5th inning. Loney single, and then Desmond Jennings with 2 outs hit one into the seats in left center field, making it 2-1 Rays. Here we go to the 6th, top of the order. Brock Holt leads off for Boston, and the pitch is upstairs. 1 ball, no strikes. Boston 61 pitches right now for Price.
Yeah, just so efficient through 5 innings, averaging just 12 per. And that's not what this Boston Red Sox likes to do.
That's a strike, 1-1.
And this is a big inning for David. The top of the order. You've got the lead now. Boston will be looking to answer. You got to keep Brock Holt off base. Continue to make good pitches.
This is fouled back. His pitch count, Price's pitch count, puts him about an inning ahead of where he would normally be when it comes to his average pitch count per inning.
Yeah, and where he normally would be has led to 7 of his last 8 starts. He's gone at least 8 innings. So pretty good pace. Things are done a little bit differently now, and starting pitchers, horses like David Price, in the past, you need 137, 140 pitches. They're going to let you have that. David has not afforded that luxury, so his idea is I'll just be efficient and I'll still get that deep into the game.
Chopper out to second. Forsythe takes care of that. 1 out in the 6th inning. And we'll check in with Todd Callis. Todd?
Dwayne, coming up on Sunday, the series finale, it's going to be Christmas in July here at Tropicana Field. And that means that fans 14 and under get this Chris Archer stocking. Perfect to hang over the fireplace for Christmas right there. Chris Archer Christmas in July stocking. First to the fans 14 and under, Christmas in July, Sunday, when the Rays take on the Boston Red Sox. Go to 888-FAN-RAYS or RaysBaseball.com.
That will be a big item.
Very witty.
Yep.
Very witty. Well thought out.
Pedroia taking a first pitch strike. There's Chris Archer. He'll be pitching here Sunday afternoon. Yeah, those are great Christmas stockings and good to wear on a cold winter's night.
Prevents cold feet.
And 0-2 the count to Pedroia.
I'll get a pair and start wearing in mid to late October.
Yeah, you better get an extra pair. It's a long winter in Cleveland. Two strikes to the count to Pedroia with 1 out, bases empty. Upstairs. 1 and 2. Ortiz on deck. It's going to be out of play, right back. Shot toward the gap in left center. That'll be in there. Cut off by Geyer. But Pedroia is on his way to second with a double. Now the Red Sox have a man in scoring position with 1 out in the 6th.
I'll tell you what, Ray's pitching does a really good job against Dustin Pedroia, but here he gets that cutter again. You see the fingers. This one cuts back middle of the plate. And that's what allows Dustin Pedroia to get into that. Get it out into left center field, but a nice job here by Brandon Geyer hustling to get that ball before it gets to the wall. You never know if Pedroia then has an opportunity for a triple, but Geyer's hustle holds him to just a double.
And now David Ortiz will be up here. Ortiz with 24 home runs, 0 for 2 tonight. He was on quite a run in the Toronto series, 4 home runs in the series. And then he left with a twinge in his back. Ortiz takes ball 1. There was some question as to whether he would be in the lineup tonight with that back issue. But he's very much in this lineup, and it has been a one-on-one confrontation between Price and Ortiz all night. First time the Red Sox have had a man in scoring position. Their run came on the Victorino home run early. And now there's ball 2 to Ortiz. They had a 2-out single in the 3rd by Holt. 2-out single in the 5th by Bradley. Now with 1 out here in the 6th, a double by Pedroia. Upstairs, fastball, and Ortiz way up in the count, 3-0.
Well, and you know that David Ortiz has the green light, so David Price will have to continue to try to make a quality pitch. But every pitch to David Ortiz in this ball game has been away, and obviously you expect him to stay there in this count.
He's swinging and fouls it away, out of play.
And that's why you got to be careful, not just throwing a get me over type of strike, because David Ortiz is one of those hitters that manager John Farrell is going to leave it up to him. The decision to swing the bat, that's what he's up there to do.
One-run ball game in the 6th. Count is full. Fastball around the knees.
Boy, driving that was right to its spot. A great pitch there by David. He'll need to make one more.
Back from 3-0 to 3-2. Price delivers. And it's fouled straight back. Hard stuff there, 3-2. Fouled right back out of play.
Very rarely do you see David Price forego location for stuff. And that's what he did right there. He really humped up on that fastball and just let it fly. Watch him now. He'll go right back and try to dot that outside corner right at the knees.
Liner into center. There's a base hit off the fastball. That will score Pedroia, and the game is tied 2-2. Ortiz delivers the RBI single.
Tell you, how many big hits has David Price or has David Ortiz come up with? We'll take a look at the sequence of pitches right here. David's going to fall behind 3-0 right away, and then goes to work from there. Is that a foul ball? Now you're in a full count. Foul that one off. Go right back out there. That did not quite get far enough away, and Ortiz was able to rocket it right back up the middle.
We're 2-2 here in the top of the 6th. Ortiz at first. Mike Napoli is at the plate. 0 for 2, called out on strikes his last time, and takes a called strike to start this at bat. Napoli 7 out of 29 in his career against Price during the regular season, with 16 strikeouts in the 29 at bats. And it's an 0-2 count right now. Center field. Zobrist on the run. He gets there to make the catch. Back to first goes Ortiz. Nice running catch by Zobrist in right center.
Well, Napoli making a bid here. You'll see it all transpire right before you. Zobrist able to range over to his right. Nice backhanded catch.
Well, it's amazing the job Zobrist can do all over the place. Remember a few years ago when he first went to the outfield, and George Hendrick immediately raving about the job he did in right field.
Well, you know you're going to get great effort. He's going to know where to go with the baseball. Just a solid defender. And you're right, no matter where they put him.
Well, Johnny Gomes, the hitter. This one into short right. That's going to fall in front of Zobrist, out of the reach of Forsythe. Gomes just bloops the base hit the other way off a 94-mile-per-hour fastball.
Well, just find a spot for it. That's all Johnny did. This ball just kind of flares it out there over the head of Forsythe, drops it in front of Ben Zobrist. Now, tie ball game, you know, 2 outs and running on contact, but David Ortiz does not run that well. So anything that gets through, the Rays should have a chance.
Yeah,
it's of the single variety.
His recent physical concern has been the back, but there for year to year to year, it was an Achilles problem that was major for him. He's been a power guy his whole career, now really fleet of foot, but an Achilles situation slowed him down even more. So he's station to station most of the time. Now here's Shane Victorino.
Well, even the hit that he had to drive the run in.
Yep.
I mean, for a lot of guys, that's a double. That ball was deep enough into the outfield. And he was perfectly content to pull up at first base. So we'll see if that comes into play.
Line drive into center. That will be deep enough to score Ortiz. Over to third goes Gomes. Victorino split the defenders, so they had to move laterally to come up with it, and that gave Ortiz the time he needed to score. It's 3-2 Boston.
Victorino, you know, the home run that he hit earlier in the ball game came off of a cutter. This is a changeup, and he stays down and threw it very well, not fooled at all. A good at bat by Victorino, shooting that ball out into right center field, and understanding the gravity and how big of a spot that was. Gives Boston that lead right back, and that's why you knew this was going to be a big half inning. Top of the order, coming up for the third time through after the Rays take the lead. This was going to be a big one, and Boston's answer.
3-2 Boston now in the sixth. Xander Bogaerts with mid on the corners. Fly ball into center. Desmond Jennings is right there, and that retires the side. Boston scores twice. Rays coming in to hit bottom of the sixth, down 3-2. As Bryce Harper and the Nationals take on the Reds, followed by the Indians squaring off against Salvador Perez and the Royals. Coverage begins at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Rays again down by a run. Sean Rodriguez leads off and takes a breaking ball. Curveball in there for strike one. Rodriguez, Escobar, and Loney. 1-1. Two. Sean struck out swinging, but a 3-2 cutter in the fourth after he had doubled in the second. strikes. Breaking ball. Strikeout number 6.
And John Lester learning with Sean Rodriguez, stay away from the heater. You don't have to go there. See the curveball right here. Good depth to it. Able to sneak it under the swing.
Fidel Escobar. Strike one to Escobar. Twice he's grounded out. Once to second. The last time to short.
Boy, new life here for John Lester, who really labored in that 5th inning against the Rays.
Yeah, that was a 36-pitch 5th inning for him. Right now, it's over 100 pitches.
Yeah, and he did well, really, to limit the damage to just 2 runs. A lot of work done. But now, a reprieve after his offense came alive in the top of the 6th.
Cut and a miss. Escobar out on strikes, back-to-back strikeouts, and a curveball and then a fastball.
Yeah, and that looked to be one of those front door 2-seamers. John Lester, that fastball at 90, 91 miles an hour. And you see the grip right there, driving this ball down, a little late movement. Not seen that pitch tonight.
James Loney. It's a pitch away. One and one. 7 strikeouts for Lester. He's walked 1. Price has 6 strikeouts, no walks. 3 runs, 7 hits for Boston. 2 runs, 6 hits for the Rays. And now Loney's behind in the count, 1-2.
That's a similar pitch that David Ortiz got called on him early, and James Loney's right. He's saying, I can't reach that. This is impossible. Fastball, it's down and it's away.
Shooting that same spot a little bit more off the plate. 2-2.
And why not? If you've established that as a strike, or could be a strike, with 2 of them on you, you're going to have to go out there and try to protect.
High popper. Left field line, shallow, and the shortstop Holt makes the catch. 1, 2, 3, go the Rays, and we head into the 7th. 3-2 Boston. Tonight's pitching performance presented by Volkswagen. David Price making his 22nd start of the year tonight, coming in 10-7. You can see Lester and Price matching each other right down. 6 innings for Lester, 6 hits, a couple runs for Price. 6, 7, and 3. 7 strikeouts for Lester with the game's only walk. Price 6 strikeouts and no walks. These two premier left-handers match up. Bottom 2 in the order for Boston. Jackie Bradley Jr. and David Ross, then back around to the top side, and Brock Holt. Fastball is in there for a strike. That's the 85th pitch of the night for David Price. Lester's up to 110 through 6, and there's action in the Boston bullpen now. Left-hander Andrew Miller is up. That's a strike. 0-2. There's the lanky left-hander Miller. Going for the strikeout. It's a little wide with that cutter away. 1-2.
I love what he's done with that pitch to left-handed hitters. A quasi slider, hard slider. Well, not really a slider, but it's approaching that. That's the way he uses it.
Chopped out to second to Forsythe. 1 away in the 7th.
David Price, for the most part, has had it working. You see some of the changeups, the fastball, the changeup. And right there, that was a cutter that Shane Victorino able to hit a home run right there. Then David Ortiz in a long, extended at-bat, full count, a base hit up the middle. Another nice job by Victorino on an off-speed pitch, the changeup into right center. That would be the 2 runs that Boston would get back.
Strike to Ross. It's been a tough year for Victorino from a health point of view. He's missed some time, but boy, he's been tough against the Rays. And that has continued in this game tonight. He's 2 for 3. He's driven in 2 runs. One with the home run and then the RBI single. No. 8 out of 19 off Rays pitching this year, with 5 runs batted in.
And you don't see that very often because the Rays pitching staff so prepared, and especially against a guy who's had some success off them. They'll switch up their game plan, try to attack those weaknesses, and more times than not, they're so efficient and so good at doing that.
All right, pop foul. Molina hit it back to the screen. That ball's out of play.
I'll tell you what, you show that baseball right there, but you got to get your head up.
Yeah,
you're going to get domed.
Heads up for sure.
You see that all the time. The ball just goes in the air and people are talking, not paying any attention. It's a wonder that there aren't more knockouts.
Just playing the odds. Can't happen to me.
Yeah,
oh, really?
That doesn't always work out very well.
Swing and a miss. Ross out on strikes, missing the fastball. That's number 7 for Price tonight. Well, here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live. The pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Jeremy Hellickson. We'll hear from Hellickson. He'll be making the start. The rest of us will break down Brock Holt. And boy, this young man has had quite a year for the Boston Red Sox right from the very beginning. We saw him in the spring, and he was hitting in the spring and hasn't stopped.
No, such a valuable member to this team who, over the long haul here, has really struggled offensively. And boy, he has been a bright spot. You can see the season numbers. Always gives you a good at bat. We already talked about his versatility in the field. You can use this kid anywhere.
Price ahead of him, 2 strikes.
Really has provided a spark for this Boston team. You know, same thing with Kiermaier and Geyer. Some younger guys coming up and helping out their team in a big way, in an unexpected way in a lot of.
2-strike pitch. Got him. Gunned it right by him. So a couple strikeouts in the inning, both on fastballs. 7th inning stretch time. 3-2 Boston. Sun Sports is brought to you by Wesley Chapel Toyota and Wesley Chapel Honda. Home of the lifetime warranty. I-75 North, exit 279. By Nissan. Choose Nissan tonight for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. By Samuel Adams for the love of beer. And by Tradewinds Island Resorts. So many ways to just let go on St. Pete Beach. 7th inning stretch time here at Tropicana Field. To the bottom of the 7th inning, Andrew Miller, the new Boston pitcher, facing Jose Molina. The first pitch to Molina is a strike.
Season numbers on Miller, 47th appearance, 8 decisions, 3-5.
1-1 to count to Molina.
Yep, tall, lanky, a lot of arms, legs, good finish, whip on his pitches, good velocity, sweeps the breaking ball. And I mean sweeps the breaking ball. That thing just took off, darted right down underneath that swing of Molina.
Miller limited last year to fewer than 40 games. He had a broken foot. Molina fights it off to stay alive. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Deck, Logan Forsythe. Two now on Molina. hit by that pitch. Molina hit by a 2-2 pitch from Miller.
Looked like it got him right on the shin. That was that breaking ball. That sweeping slider. Right on that front shin, and Jose Molina telling Paul Harker, the trainer, yeah, it doesn't feel good at all, but he'll stay in this ball game. Timber.
Number 10, Logan Forsythe.
So Molina stays in the game after being hit in the shin by that pitch. There's Logan Forsythe. That's a strike. The Rays have a base runner here in the 7th.
Leadoff walk, leadoff hit batter. John Lester out of the game, into the bullpen. Here's your chance.
Slow. 1-1.
Well, you look for a potential move up here too. With all these breaking balls from Miller, David Ross is going to be a busy man behind the plate trying to keep those in front. Tazawa there getting some last minute instructions on the hitters he may be facing.
Out of play. Now 1-2. 1-run ball game, bottom half of the 7th inning. And that's strike 3. 8th strikeout for Boston pitching.
Well, it's one or the other, fastball or the slider. And I think right there Logan Forsythe got caught looking for the slider to take this. That ends up almost middle.
Well, Desmond Jennings is due up. John Farrell comes out to go to the bullpen. 1 on, 1 out. Pitching change coming for Boston. Be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Tampa Bay Rays. Boston leading 3-2. The Rays have a base runner aboard with 1 out. Andrew Miller leads in favor of Kenichi Tazawa.
Well, now he's on for the 46th time, ERA 2.52, more than a strikeout per inning. And he'll be facing Desmond Jennings here, who his last at-bat hit a 2-run homer. Let's take a look at that. Up in the count. Lester misses with location. And Jennings all over it. That gave the Rays a temporary 1-run lead. Now they have, once again, a 1-run deficit.
Tazawa in to face Jennings with Molina at first and 1 gone. And there's a curveball in at 74. And it's in there for a strike. Well, start the at bat.
In the beginning of Tazawa, his quick jerky motion as he starts out kind of speeds you up as a hitter. And then he's able to drop that curveball at 74 miles an hour in there for strike 1. Does have a good fastball.
It's outside. 1-1. Another curveball. Jennings is 1 out of 10 in his career against Tazawa. That hit a double. Struck out 4 times in those 10 at bats. Well, right back. Interestingly enough, Molina, who's at first base against Miller, he was hit by a pitch. Miller has never retired Jose Molina in 4 plate appearances. He's given up a base hit to Molina, who's walked him twice, and now he's hit him. Happy to see that he can smile now after being hit in the shin.
Listen, if you can't get a guy out and he's going to reach base anyway, you might as well hit him, right?
Well, that's what he did. 1-2 the count on Jennings. 2-2 now.
You know what makes Tazawa so tough coming out of the Boston bullpen late in games? A good bridge guy to get it to Koji Uehara to try to close things out. But he comes at you with 4 different pitches. He's got the good fastball that'll reach the mid-90s, but then also both breaking balls, slider, curveball to go along with a split finger. So he gives you a lot of guys coming out that later. A 2-pitch guy. He's got all 4.
Inside. Count is full. Zobrist is on deck. One on, one out, 3-2 the count. Bounce it, forcing another 3-2 pitch. Lester worked the front 6. The Rays got 2 runs off him. Miller for a third. Now the 28-year-old right-hander Shunichi Tazawa. Yokohama, Japan. And he walks Jennings. So Molina moves to second. Jennings draws the walk, and without a hit, the Rays have put 2 men on with 1 out.
Well, and Tazawa does not do this very often. Just 8 walks coming into play in 39 and a third innings. That's now number 9. That gets Cole Figueroa out there to run for Jose Molina, giving the Rays a little bit more speed. A lot more speed.
And he represents the potential tying run. So, given this situation here late in the game, calls for the pinch runner. And here's Zobrist, 3 for 3, 3 infield hits, all against Lester. Now he faces Tazawa. Down and in. And Ben, against Tazawa, is 3 of 8 with a double in his career. 3 runs batted in. He has 2 men on right now. One of those in scoring position at second. lifted for the pinch runner, so the Rays are going to go with the young catcher. And a strike with the curveball. That's what he started Jennings with, a couple of those. It's even in the count to Zobrist with a curveball.
That was the one that he will throw for a strike. Also has the one that he'll try to bury out of the zone, but he really got good arm speed with that. And that's what caused Ben Zobrist to just flinch and let that pitch go right down the middle for strike 2.
2-2, and that one had depth on it.
Well, that was the strikeout version. He's got the one that he'll try to throw in there for a strike, and then the one he tries to take you out with, and you saw it fading down and away.
Zobrist, base hit into left. Figueroa will be waved around, and the ball gets by Gomes. Tying run scores, into third base goes Jennings. It's a 3-3 ball game. Zobrist with his 4th hit of the night ties the game.
Now the way this inning is unfolded, Boston had it coming to him. A leadoff hit batter, a walk to Jennings. The Rays were afforded 2 base runners without having to put the ball in play. And then mislocation here. Ben Zobrist inside out. Base hit to left. Johnny Gomes trying to get to that ball before it bounces again. And it's off the thumb of the glove. That not only allows Figueroa to score, but allows Jennings to get over to third. Rays with a real opportunity here to take the lead.
7th hit of the game for the Rays. It's 3-3. Jennings at third, Zobrist at first, with Brandon Guyer coming up.
It's nice to see that Ben Zobrist able to get a ball into the outfield with 4 hits.
And the first pitch inside. Jennings bluffing a little break down the line from third.
Well, this is another opportunity here, depending on how greedy the Rays want to get, where you've got the first and third safety squeeze situation.
Yep.
And you got a chance to do it and take the lead. Often they will do it on the second pitch. Let one go by, lull a team to sleep, and then right here is when you put that play on.
And there is a square round throw down to first, but they had Napoli in at first base. So Zobrist got back in easily.
We've got the Rays playbook up here.
So it's a 2-0 count.
And that's going to force Boston to have to play that play aggressively and crash if Brandon Guyer is going to turn around and bunt. See what they do. Bogart's actually behind the bag right now at third.
2-0 count. And he shows the bunt again and takes it outside for ball 3.
And I think maybe Boston's thinking in a 2-0 count they're going to go ahead and let him swing the bat. But you saw Brandon late that time with the square around, and if he got that down, Tazawa was the only one that was going to make a play.
Bogart's looking into the dugout. Backs up a bit. 3 balls, no strikes. And the curveball. It's in there for a strike. Boston his go-to strike pitch in this inning, that slow curve.
Fastball's been kind of sprayed around a little bit, either with mislocation or missing the plate. The split has been inconsistent.
3-1. And ball 4 down and away. That was a fastball. And the bases are loaded. Bases loaded for Evan Longoria.
Now Tazawa now with 2 walks. Just 8 on the season coming in. And I'll tell you, Boston, its own worst enemy here in the bottom of the 7th. Couple of walks, a hit batter, a broken bat hit to left.
Big conference on the mound for the Red Sox. Middle game of the series here tomorrow. Jeremy Hellickson will get the start against John Lackey. Our coverage begins at 6:30 on Sun Sports. Right now, bases loaded with Evan Longoria. Evan due against Tazawa. He's 0 for 8 against this right-hander.
He will be looking to swing early, I promise you.
And a cut and a miss, strike 1.
Evan Longoria wanting so badly to come through in this situation. And so Tazawa goes with the split, feeling the same thing, and there's your big swing.
Saw that movement late in on him. Rays have tied the game. They've loaded the bases. 1 out. And he takes a fastball. That's strike 2.
Tough way to start this at bat. You swing at the split off the plate. Not going to really drive that pitch, as you can see, right on the borderline. Now you got to protect, and you're just trying to get the ball, get it into the outfield, get that run home.
Evan down, 2 strikes. Tapper right at the plate, right in front of the catcher Ross. Molina opened this game hit by a pitch. Figueroa running for him has scored. That run charged to Miller. Tazawa's 2-strike pitch again. It's high. Tazawa walked Jennings, gave up the base hit to Zobrist. That tied the game. Then a walk drawn by Geyer. Sean Rodriguez on deck. It's wide. 2-2. Tazawa out of the zone with a fastball.
Well, this is
laid off.
This is where you want your action right here. If you're Tazawa, you do not want to get to a full count, so you got to make your best pitch here. Evan Longoria, of course, knows that. He'll be ready. The key for him will be to not expand his zone. Stay disciplined, and yet know that you got to protect on something close.
The 2-2. And he got enough to stay alive and foul it back. So Longoria got down in the count. He's had to work his way back. It's 2-2 now.
Look at him going down there, because that's a close pitch. And he's just down there to try to fight it off, put it in play, not let it go by and leave it into the umpire's hand. which tonight is Bill Miller, and we know that he looks to call strikes.
It was evident from the get-go. That is his reputation. Two and two. Liner up the left side, fair. Into the corner it goes. Jennings has scored. Zobrist has scored. Throw to the plate, safe. Geyer scores on the double by Longoria. What an at-bat for Evan Longoria.
Breaking ball, hangs, Longoria all over it. He gets it down into the corner. The Rays with the break here that it stays in play. That could have hopped over that short wall on left, and the Rays would have been stuck with just 2 runs at that point, but they get run number 3 right there, and a nifty little slide by Geyer. Believe it. Clear the bases. Big inning.
Longoria's first hit ever off Tazawa, and it breaks the 3-3 tie, making it 6-3. Evan with 53 runs driven in this year. Now it's Sean Rodriguez with Longoria at second and 1 out. And he misses the breaking pitch. A slider right there away from him for a strike. Mujica in the bullpen. This turns out to be a long inning for Tazawa. 25 pitches and almost even in the breakout. 13 of those pitches strikes of the 25. One and one now. We've had one outing this year when he's thrown as many as 28 pitches. That was back in April. 26 right now here in this inning. Rays have 2 walks, a single and a double off Tazawa, 3 runs. Home in the inning. 4 runs up in the inning, 3 off Tazawa. Tap by the mound is short, charged by Holt. His throws in time, and Longoria advances to third. Runner at third with 2 gone.
Tom Foley acknowledging Evan Longoria there, giving him some props on his at-bat. Turned out to be a huge at-bat. The difference in the game now.
When he got down in the count,
yeah,
had to fight his way back, and then got a pitch to drive, and he sent it into the corner.
Think about that split at 89 miles an hour that he was able to go down and foul off to stay alive, hoping for that one mistake. He got it, and he capitalized.
Escobar on the ground to third. Bogarts throw to first in time. Rays send 8 men to the plate. They score 4. Ben Zobrist got the tying run home. That made it 3-3. And with the bases loaded, Evan Longoria unloaded the double. 6-3 Tampa Bay through 7. Brewers have taken a 6-3 lead here as we move into the 8th inning. Brian Anderson, Todd Callis, Dwayne Stats with you. 6-8-0 for the Rays. 3-7-0 for Boston. David Price back out to the hill. His first pitch in the 8th is a strike call to Dustin Pedroia. John Lester, the starter for Boston, went 6, gave up 2. Kurt Casale takes over behind the plate with Molina lifted for the pinch runner.
You know, and as good as that
on 1-1,
as good as that last half inning was by the Rays offensively, the work that they did against Lester to get him out of that game after 6 innings and get into that bullpen just as big.
Yeah, they had that big 5th inning, a high pitch count inning that ran his pitch count up. He left with 110 pitches. Pedroia up the right side. That's going to be a foul ball, and it's 1-2.
You then force that Boston bullpen to have to get 9 outs in a game like this, nursing a 1-run lead, and they did themselves in. A couple of walks, a hit batter. Ray scored those 4 runs on just 2 hits.
Breslow, the lefty, up in the bullpen now for Boston. Tazawa had his longest outing in relief. Charged with 3 runs. He had not allowed more than 2 runs in any outing this year. The Rays got him for 3. The other run charged to Miller. Close right there, and it's a 2-2 count to Pedroia. Ortiz next, and then Napoli. Price checking with Bill Miller on the count to make sure it was 2-2. A liner just out of the reach of Forsythe. Just couldn't get high enough, and Pedroia's on for the 2nd time with a leadoff single here in the 8th.
Boy, nice job by Pedroia, too. That was not an easy pitch to handle, and there was nothing you could do except what he did. A changeup down and away. Can't pull it. It's about the best you can do with that pitch, and just out of the reach of Forsythe.
For that pitch on which Pedroia picked up the single is the 100th pitch of the night for David Price. He's got 100 pitches again, and the Rays get the bullpen up as David Ortiz steps in. Brad Boxberger up in the bullpen. Ortiz singled in a run in the 6th. Up for the 4th time in this game against Price, which is low. In the 8th, got at least 8 innings in each of his last 3. Seven of his last 8 outings, at least 8. Out of play the other way, 1-2.
That's why you talk about this Rays team continuing this trek towards getting back into the playoff race and becoming playoff eligible and needing David Price. It's not just about the game that he's going to pitch. You know you're going to get great effort. You're going to have a great chance to win that night, but it's by pitching that deep so consistently. You save your bullpen. You allow them to stay fresh and keep them fresh longer in a season that they're going to be asked to do more than maybe in a normal year. He affects the team far more than just that one every 5 days.
Ground ball shortstop Longoria out at second, safe at first, but Longoria, a scrambling play there at second base with the shift on. Longoria made a fine play on the ball hit by Ortiz to get the lead runner Pedroia at second base.
Well, Evan Longoria is such a good glove man no matter where he plays. He's basically playing shortstop and up the middle. Well, you think about that. That ball is able to squeeze by him. You've got 2 runners aboard. Now the tying run to the plate. But that diving effort cuts down the lead man. It's a great play.
So a fielder's choice. Price appreciating that great effort by Longoria. Mike Napoli. Strike one. Napoli, nothing of 3, called out on strikes in the 4th. One of 8 strikeouts by David Price tonight. Final in New York, the Yankees have beaten the Blue Jays 6-4. Toronto can't win at Yankee Stadium. They lost 17 straight at Yankee Stadium.
In a game that gives you a lot of things that causes your jaw to drop, that is astounding. Wow.
They got off to the lead tonight. The game 6-4. Napoli's out on strikes for the second time. The 9th strikeout for Price.
Now, fastball, power, middle, up, and right over the swing. You can see Napoli, even from that shot right there, choking up on the bat, just trying to catch up to that heater and still couldn't do it.
Who had a single in the 6th. Bats with 2 outs and a man at first. Strike at the knees. Broke through with 4 in the 7th. They lead by 3. And there's strike 2 to Gomes. 2 outs, a runner on in the 8th. 0-2 the count to Gomes. Price had 9 strikeouts in 8 innings his last time out in Minnesota. He's looking for number 10 here in the 8th inning tonight.
Heavy anticipation for pizza, baby, and the end of the 8th.
It's a ball and 2 strikes now. The count to Gomes. Another look.
I'm like Pavlov's dog right now. I'm even starting to drool.
Price looking for number 10. Just a piece of that one foul.
I mean, this is kind of crazy here. Got a hungry stadium.
1 pitch wide. The next pitch just enough to stay alive. Pitches for Price. Coming off 119 against the Twins. And a 5-1 win. It's 6-3. Rays here in the 8th. Well, let's see if the 3rd attempt is the charm. Looking for 10 strikeouts. And Gomes fouls it again. Count holds at 1-2. Boston led 1-0. The Rays 2-1. Boston then 3-2. The Rays with 4 in the 7th to make it 6-3. David Ortiz is the base runner. 2 outs. Pitch again from David Price. Low, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rays had Boxberger up, and he's still down in the bullpen, but watching the action right now. Well, here's the final out, the strikeout number 10 right there.
How appropriate. Power fastball right on the inside corner, locking up Johnny Gomes. And the boys in the dugout loving it.
Right there by his pitching mates first. And then the rest of the squad. Nick McGee starts to loosen in the Rays bullpen. So a 10 strikeout performance. No walks tonight from Price. Greg Breslow's the new pitcher for Boston, facing James Loney here. Loney lifts a fly ball to center. Bradley's there to catch it. Well, the Rays with 6 runs tonight. And when the Rays score 6, you score 50% off online orders the next day at papajohns.com. Promo code RAYS6.
Well, you know what? You know what that means, Dwayne? There's going to be a lot of pizza consumed the next few days.
A lot of strikeouts on this staff.
So good after midnight, too.
Kurt Casale up here takes the first pitch. That's a strike. Lifts it into right center field. Torino over there, though, and makes the catch. 2 outs here in the 8th. As promised earlier, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to #SunSportsFanPhoto for a chance to be shown at an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T.
Well, that certainly is the most unique fan photo.
Getting a little creative there.
Yep. All in.
That's a photo. And the pitch to Forsythe is a strike.
I like that name, Dwayne.
You like it?
Boom. Well, it shows you on top of your game.
Yeah.
It's late, boom, sharp. Right there. Photo. Took me a second. Pitch or two.
1-1 the count.
Come around.
Breslow, the 4th pitcher for Boston. And a popper, short center. Pedroia out. Now coming in from right is Victorino and Bradley from center. And finally, it's Bradley to make the catch. We're headed into the 9th. 6-3 Tampa Bay.
Six to 3. Don't forget, right after the game, it's our Rays Live post-game show presented by Checkers. David Price, another strong 8 innings tonight, as we will talk about Price and hear from him after the game. Kelly Nash gathering interviews in the Rays clubhouse. Joe Madden with his press conference. Dwayne and BA with their thoughts. I'll be hosting out in left field with Orestes Estrada. All that on Rays Live presented by Checkers immediately after the game, guys.
All right, thank you very much. On to the 9th. Ben Zobrist moves from right field and into left. Kevin Kiermaier enters the game in right field. He'll go into the 3rd spot in the order as Geyer departs. So it's Zobrist, Jennings, and Kiermaier in the outfield, and Jake McGee makes his 50th appearance of the year. David Price gone after 8, 114 pitches, 8 hits, 3 runs, 10 strikeouts and no walks. Shane Victorino. Pitch, fastball taken for a strike. Back 0-2 2. Wednesday in St. Louis to finish off a 3-0 Rays win. Into center. Jennings makes the catch. 1 out. Xander Bogaerts coming up. Bogaerts 0 for 3 tonight. It's ball 1. Rays trying to win their 8th in a row. McGee picks up a strike at the knees with a fastball clocked at 94. 1-1. Right there at 96.
Yeah, that swing, and we see this a lot. The guys know they're going to get the fastball. They gear up. And I don't know if it's something where they just tense up a little bit, but the swings tend to get long and loopy, and that is no way to catch up to a McGee fastball.
Ground ball toward the middle, backhanded stop. Forsythe, the throw to first, safe. Well, what a great effort by Logan Forsythe. He almost pulled it off, but Bogaerts' speed enough to get him in there.
Yeah, and he's far enough away. That's not a short throw there for Forsythe because he's ranging up the middle. A great job on the dive right there at the cut. And then he gets up. Logan's got a strong arm and a quick release. And he does the best job that he possibly can, but Bogaerts a little too quick. He can play some second base, and we've seen him out there defensively solid. Will make some spectacular plays. A good arm, accurate arm.
Really like him in the middle of the double play.
Oh,
he's strong in there.
Yep.
Here's Bradley. Pitch inside. 1 ball, no strikes.
Good footwork around the bag. Maybe he'll get a chance right here.
A nice way to end it. Center. Kiermaier from right center running. That's over his head to the bottom of the wall. Bogaerts will stop at third base. And now, with the double off the bat of Bradley, the Red Sox suddenly have a major threat. Second and third, 1 out.
Well, you like the matchup. You like McGee on just about everybody, but especially a left-handed hitter like Bradley. But boy, does he get into this. That's a middle fastball just above the knees, and he rockets this out there. Bogaerts not sure if Kiermaier is going to be able to get to it. Has to hold up near second base, only able to get to third.
Bradley got to that pitch down. He had trouble catching up.
Yes.
So suddenly the Red Sox feel they have some potential life in this game. Single and a double here in the 9th. David Ross will be the hitter. So for 3, a couple strikeouts tonight. Fastball pretty close. Ball 1, says Bill Miller. Into right field. Kiermaier in line to make the catch. Tag at third. Bogarts heads to the plate. Throw back towards second where Bradley stays. And on a sacrifice fly, it's now 6-4. Ross makes contact. Gets the run home. Brock Holt will be the hitter.
Yeah, and don't go to sleep on this guy. Quality pitches. That's one of the things that Jake McGee has really done to step his game up, is good command and able to just not throw strikes but quality strikes. Needs to do that here. Get this last out.
There's a strike to get a running in his favor. Fastball in at 97. Six-4 ball game. It to 0-2. Rays trying to get to 50 wins. And the Rays are winners tonight, 6-4 for Boston in the ninth. A run, 2 hits, 1 man left. And the Rays take game 1 of this series. They've won 8 in a row. They're now 50-53. David Price will get the win, and Jake McGee finishes it off with this pitch.
Learned his lesson. Bradley down. He was able to get to it, climbs the ladder on Holt, and ends it.
Desmond Jennings, a big night, including a 2-run home run in the 5th. He walked and scored in the 4-run 7th. David Price will go to 11-7, save number 10 for McGee. Tazawa's the losing pitcher. He's 1-2. 3 hours and 4 minutes to play this one. So the Rays winners tonight over Boston. Let's go to the field and Todd Callens.
Thank you, Dwayne. Evan, you talked the other day about when things are going tough, it seems like you're always 0-2. You get 0-2 against the guy who's really been tough on you in your career. Tell us about that battle.
Again, just trying to get something out over the plate, and got a good split finger fastball, so really just trying to look for something up in the zone. And once I got down, I just told myself try and slow things down and get a pitch he could handle. And he made a mistake with a breaking ball over the middle of the plate.
You saw the double right there as you hit it into the left field corner. Was the key to that at bat, though, a couple of foul balls with 2 strikes? It seemed like he was really close on some tough, nasty pitches.
Yeah, I mean, he made some good pitches in that at bat, and sometimes that's the that's what you got to do to really keep yourself in the at bat and give yourself a chance. And I just saw just enough pitches to get one I could handle.
Did you guys feel like early in the game, even though you didn't have a lot of runs against Lester, that you were putting together some pretty good at-bats and getting his pitch count up?
Yeah, I mean, we almost had him to 100 pitches after 5, and him being the competitor that he is, he stayed out there, grinded through almost 7 innings, I think, or 7 innings, and he's tough, man. He's tough, and I tip my hat to him. He made it tough, but David did the same thing, and kept us in the game, and happy we were able to come out on top.
What about the shift with David Ortiz? We filled in for Tulo a little while in 2005 at short. Did you feel like you were back in your shortstop days there?
We do it quite a bit. Normally he's a guy that we shift, but David always wants to play him straight up. And I went to the mound there just to see what he thought. And I kind of was thinking along the same lines that he would want to shift him there just because, David Ortiz in that situation is trying to hit a home run. He's trying to pull the ball. And so I just wanted to give ourselves the best chance to get an out. And thankfully I was there.
You mentioned Price. Great play, by the way, diving stop, and then Uni almost turns a double play. You mentioned Price. It's now 8 out of 9 games where he's gone at least 8 innings, and I think 9 out of 12 overall. Are you watching one of the game's best at his best right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's been unbelievable for us, and I think after his first couple starts of the year, he's really been the David Price that we all know. I mean, he's going out there and striking out 10 every night, and just doing some incredible things that you don't get to see. So it's fun to watch.
Final thing, Longo, you mentioned to us in St. Louis how the home crowd can make an impact. Seemed like from the first inning, this crowd was really a difference maker.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that they were going to be, especially with Boston coming in and the couple of hubbubs that we've had with them earlier in the year. But I'm glad that today's game went smoothly, and it was a good game, man. That's a good ball club over there, and so we're better off not getting into any of that and just trying to win the ball game.
Congrats on 8 in a row.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Evan Longoria, back to you.
Thank you, Todd. Rays winners tonight to open this very critical homestand. A 6-4 final. We'll be right back.